Welcome to the Restricted Handling Daily Intel Brief. This is what's been going on in China in the past 24 hours. China and Russia have again condemned the U.S. indictment of former Cuban President Raul Castro over the 1996 shoot-down of civilian aircraft. While we touched on this previously, today the emphasis is on the intensifying pressure Havana is under as U.S. sanctions and an ongoing oil blockade continue to disrupt fuel distribution and critical energy infrastructure. Both Beijing and Moscow are clearly signaling their backing for Cuban sovereignty, highlighting the constraints of unilateral U.S. action and the role of international partnerships in shielding Havana from further destabilization. Turning to Asia, President Trump has reiterated his intent to speak with Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te about a potential arms package. No formal call has been scheduled yet, but Taiwan has confirmed readiness to engage. The nuance today is that this step, even without a confirmed call, continues to amplify regional tension, signaling a shift in U.S. posture toward more direct engagement with Taipei. For listeners tracking China, this remains a key flashpoint that could influence broader U.S. China interactions and military calculus in the Western Pacific. On the economic and trade front, the U.S. delegation of CEOs in China is actively navigating persistent market access challenges. Tesla's $3 billion solar equipment purchase remains blocked. NVIDIA's H200 AI chip, though approved for export, still sits unpurchased by Chinese firms. And Visa continues facing restrictions on RMB settlements. Today, there's a subtle development. Beijing has selectively eased exports of some rare earth elements, reflecting strategic leverage over critical high-tech sectors while keeping the upper hand in ongoing negotiations. These adjustments illustrate the fine line China walks between maintaining economic stability and preserving its control over strategic resources. A deeper look at the tech sector shows additional nuances. NVIDIA is continuing to report massive profits, over $58 billion in quarterly earnings. But Chinese companies are increasingly relying on cloud-based remote access to these AI chips. This not only maintains operational continuity for domestic firms, but also underscores China's broader goal of developing self-reliant AI capabilities. In essence, Beijing is carefully encouraging domestic innovation while preserving its strategic control over access to critical foreign technologies, creating a multi-layered approach to tech sovereignty. Diplomatically, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi is slated to chair a UN Security Council meeting and will visit Canada later this week. He also met with Moldovan Deputy Prime Minister Mihai Popsoi to reinforce bilateral relations. These diplomatic moves, when seen alongside Putin's recent visit to Beijing, reflect China's strategic balancing act, maintaining robust ties with Russia while simultaneously deepening relationships with other international partners. The coordination with Moscow on messaging around energy and strategic initiatives highlights Beijing's effort to sustain influence over multiple regional and global dynamics. On domestic security and intelligence, China and the U.S. successfully concluded a joint transnational drug trafficking case. Arrests were made in both countries, signaling that even amidst high-level geopolitical tensions, operational collaboration remains possible. This update emphasizes that targeted law enforcement cooperation can continue to yield results, even as broader strategic competition intensifies. There is also a military dimension to consider, framed strategically. Between May 20 to 21st, the PLA conducted 7 sorties and deployed 7 naval vessels around Taiwan, 6 crossing the median line into the northern and southwestern air defense zones. Taiwan responded with patrols, naval deployments, and missile systems. While these maneuvers are largely routine, they remain a calculated signal of Beijing's strategic pressure and deterrence posture in the region, demonstrating both operational readiness and subtle messaging without full-scale escalation. Looking at the bigger picture, the combination of economic, diplomatic, and military developments shows China actively managing its global position. The renewed support for Cuba, the careful handling of U.S. trade delegations, the ongoing push for AI self-reliance, and measured military signaling in the Taiwan Strait all indicate a deliberate balancing act. Russia remains an economic and operational partner, but dependency is subtly increasing, particularly in energy and high-tech sectors. Beijing's approach demonstrates how it uses influence, access, and strategic patience to shape regional and global dynamics to its advantage. Finally, there are ripple effects across sectors from energy to technology. The selective easing of rare earth exports, coupled with sustained restrictions on foreign AI technology, shows that China is managing both leverage and innovation. The ongoing coordination with Russia, particularly after Putin's recent visit, reinforces strategic alignment while carefully preserving autonomy in decision-making. These intertwined developments illustrate the complexity of modern geopolitical strategy, where economics, technology, and military signaling are all used to influence outcomes without triggering overt conflict. Thanks for listening. If you value clear, consistent analysis, leaving a review or a comment helps others discover the show. We also publish a daily intel brief on Substack, restrictedhandling.substack.com, offering deeper coverage on Russia, China, Iran, the Middle East, and the DPRK. Appreciate your time. Have a great day.